All right, now we're going to look at questions 7 through 10. So this time we're going to be looking at the reasons they give us. We're going to look at each statement and we're just going to fill in the reason. So they tell us that Q is the midpoint of PR. We know that. So Q is the midpoint of PR. They tell us that. They tell us that QR, look at this right here, QR right here is congruent to RS. QR right here is congruent to RS right here. And so how can we use that to prove that PQ equals RS? Okay, so I'll probably have this drawn while we do it. So it's PQRS. They tell me that Q is the midpoint, and they tell me that QR equals RS. So first thing right here, they tell me Q is midpoint of PR, and that's given. Okay, you see that? The first statement is Q's midpoint of PR. Where did that come from? Did I figure that out because I'm so smart? No, I did not. I just saw that they said that right here. It's given. So anytime something was told to you to begin with, you could just say given. Okay? So Q is right in the middle of PQ and QR. So if Q is in the middle, we can then say PQ equals QR. Look, PQ equals QR. How do you know that? If Q is the midpoint, does that mean that both sides are congruent? Yes. Why does it mean that? Because that's what it means to be a midpoint. It's in the middle, meaning both sides are equal. So we can say that PQ is congruent to QR. And how can we say that? Because that's the definition of midpoint. I think I'm writing it the way that definition of midpoint. Okay. So I'm going to mark something as we do it. Look, we're saying that this segment right here is congruent to that segment right there. One thing you'll see in geometry, a marking like that means that that segment equals that segment. That's what those little markings mean. So then number 3, the third thing that they tell us is QR equals RS. So QR is equal to RS. It's congruent to RS. Where did that come from? Look right here. QR congruent to RS. That's another given statement. So QR is congruent to RS, and that's another given statement. Okay, so they're telling us that QR right here is also congruent to RS. See that? PQ is congruent to QR. How do you know that? Because Q is in the midpoint. Then QR is congruent to RS. How do you know that? Because it's given. So what's the last thing we can say? If PQ is equal to QR and QR is equal to RS, can't you then say PQ is equal to RS? So I'm not even looking at what's there, but I'm assuming the next step will just say that PQ is congruent to RS. Yep, PQ is congruent to RS. And how did we do that? Technically, that's the transitive property, or if substitution is the option we got, we could do that, transitive property. So how do we know that? It is for the transitive property. There we go. So go ahead and do the next proof then, and then at the bottom of that, I'll have another video explaining that.